we are recording now, and we will. Hey there, welcome to the first episode of the HoloGrahams Media Club. I guess that name is still subject to change, possibly, but probably not. We're Will and Gavin. We're a couple of cousins that enjoy speculative fiction, a lot of sci-fi movies, and a lot of geeky things. We're probably going to focus on books, but we'll talk about movies, TV, nerd culture in general. Today's episode is recorded live in Mulder's apartment, a nondescript apartment in Georgetown. Grab a blue milk, some Hagro biscuit, and give yourself to the dork side. So
that's right, baby.
That's it.
All right.
Welcome.
How you been?
I've been all right. Been all right. Busy, working, building houses. And how have you been? Working, building your house?
Yeah, building our new house that we're moving into soon.
That's cool.
Just kind of filling you in on some of the dark side of what happened to me in the last week or two, but to fill our listeners in, just a few changes in our house. We're moving down into the basement and renting out the upstairs area. So we'll see how that goes.
It just occurred to me, you're literally a geek living in the basement.
My mom was living in the basement before. But now we'll be living in the basement.
That's funny. We'll have to get you some Mountain Dew and Doritos.
Yeah.
And then you can have that whole stereotype going.
As long as you keep the bowl full.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So you want to do a quick why we're doing this, what this is actually about?
Yeah. So I guess it all started maybe, I don't know, what were we thinking, 18 years ago?
It's got to be close to that. 18, 20 maybe?
19, yeah. Somewhere in there. We were at our grandmother's. We're both cousins. And we were at our grandmother's, I was saying for Christmas party or something like that.
Probably.
You remembered it being at my parents' house, but
that could have been a later thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust your memory on that one.
I remembered it. For some reason, I had a clear memory where we were when you wrote down the list.
Right.
And the list was a list that you had written out of like 15, maybe 20 sci-fi books that I think we had been talking sci-fi the whole party, and you were like, these are ones that are current in my life. You should get these in your life.
Yeah. I had been actually at the time I was working with a guy named Tim, and he was real into sci-fi. So he was feeding me books. We were feeding each other books back and forth. And then when you and I started talking, I think I was feeding you a lot of the books that he was feeding me. So,
and I remember
that I was into anyway. So it sort of snowballed from there. And then I think we probably, after that party, I think for the next few, we probably just continued talking sci-fi and the books that we'd read. So I'm probably blurring a couple of different things altogether.
That's what it is. Maybe you had asked me, I think, updates, which ones have you read type of thing. And I know Neuromancer, Ringworld.
Yeah.
Probably
Hyperion.
Ender's Game.
Hyperion was in there.
Hyperion.
Probably.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I think you turned me on to Ender's Game.
Really?
I think so. I can't remember for sure. Because I know I didn't find it on my own. I know somebody hit me to it, and I don't think it was Tim. And I can't think of who else it would have been. So I think you hit me to Ender's Game. Or Speaker of the Dead, maybe, and then I worked backwards. I can't remember.
Really? Starting with Speaker?
Well, no, because I started with Ender's Game. I did start with Ender's Game, but I think maybe you had mentioned Speaker of the Dead. I can't remember. I mean, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. And we're talking about shit. It was like 20 years ago.
I was going to say, yeah, I looked all around for that list. I could have sworn that I had it in my bookshelf back in this room here, and I have like a storage bin. I think my dog wants to get into this room.
That's fine.
Let me go let my dog in real quick.
Sweet. Pets. Dog tax.
He's going to sit there banging at the door all night if I don't. He's like, let me come hang out. So, so we had been talking about, I don't know, this list, and you, I don't know, just had texted me the other day, and we were talking, and we were thinking how fun it would be to just get together and talk some more books.
Yeah.
Going forward. So our idea kind of sprouted from there. So what do you want to explain kind of what our idea for the podcast is going to be going forward?
Yeah, so we had the idea of doing a book club, and then we just sort of thought probably the way that most people's lives are, certainly our lives right now, is audiobooks seem to be a little more accessible than books.
Hmm.
We all have time to listen to a book in traffic or at work or something, most of us. Um, so we thought we would probably focus on audiobooks, and then that sort of got us to talking like we could talk video games and movies and TV shows and stuff. So we changed the idea from straight book club to sort of more of a media club.
What's going on in
What's
the
going
modern
on and
time?
stuff. Although our focus would still be on books because that's what started the whole thing, but we wouldn't want to get pigeonholed into that. Um, and we thought what would be a fun way to do it is give each other books that we'd read that the other hadn't read, and going sort of very back to the very early days of where it all started, back to the list, pay homage to
Hmm.
the list, all praise the list. Um, so the idea would be, and it
Praise
would
the
also be,
Lord.
we thought it would also be fun too, that like I've read a book maybe several years ago and I don't remember all the details. But it'd be fun to see you read it and be able to see somebody else's memory of that book with fresh eyes.
Hmm.
Um, and read the book, do a midway check-in. Next episode would be a midway. So we're going to give each other books. Um, and then next episode will be sort of a midway check-in, like how the book is going, how we're enjoying it. Along
Predictions
those
for
lines.
what you think
Predictions. Yeah. Yeah.
might happen.
Yeah. What's good and bad. And then the third episode would be not a critique
Final
necessarily,
thoughts.
but final thoughts on a book. That's
Yeah.
yeah. And sort of a, maybe even a light review. And then interspersed within all of that also just talking about different movies and trailers and geek culture. And we've kind of already burned out the Dune for this. We're both stoked about the
We
new
were
Dune
we
movie
were too
coming out.
excited and started talking before we recorded.
Yeah, so we sort of blew that out, and you haven't watched the new Bill and Ted yet, so
Yeah, that's my homework for the week.
that's your homework for the weekend is watch the new Bill and Ted. Um,
I've
but
heard
yeah,
good
and then
things.
and
So.
then yeah, we could talk other stuff too, and I think we have enough of a variant and projects too. Like I'm a maker. I make things in my spare time,
I like to make.
and you're a maker. You're a painter.
I like to paint. Yeah, acrylic mostly, but also used to do some 3D like 3D design type stuff. So that's what
Yeah.
you're into with the 3D printing and everything.
3D
So
printing, I'm just in the very early stages of figuring out how to model my own things. Um, so
you're
most of it,
modeling yourself, or
not yet. No, no modeling.
get in line, folks.
No, I get paid not to model. Actually, I get paid to leave all the clothes on. Um, yeah, so that's, and we could talk about some projects and shit like that. Like I've got a couple of Star Wars projects that I've had in my office, half built for a long time. I have a full box of Stormtrooper armor that I haven't even opened yet that I've got to build. So
Getting
that'll be
ready for the cons once this whole
maybe.
situation is over, possibly.
I think the dream was basically just go grocery shopping in Stormtrooper armor. Just go about your day just dressed as a Stormtrooper. Technically Sandtrooper. It'll be based on a Sandtrooper from A New Hope. So
Oh, that's awesome.
that's the basic idea. But that's I gotta finish some other projects to literally clear some space. So
You got that ordered, or you found the suit online, or what did you?
I ordered it from, I'll have to look up the company name. I believe it's called ATA Armors or AT Armor. It's a dude that heat presses his own. He's got a mold and he heat presses his own pieces, and
Oh,
then he
that's
just
awesome.
sends you out these pieces. I have it ordered. It's been ordered. It's been in my closet for probably about a year and a half now, just sitting in the original box. And it comes out in components, and you have to cut it. You've got to learn how to cut
Oh, really?
ABS. Yeah, heat formed
Huh.
ABS. It's all super glossy, shiny, ready to go. And he sends you
That's
all the
amazing.
hard parts. There's no soft parts. You got to get the unitard and the balaclava that goes around the neck, and the gloves are not there, and the boots. You got to track down your own boots.
Well, the unitard shouldn't be a problem for you, right? Got a
Yeah,
whole closet full of those.
yeah, that's exactly. Actually, I have one thing I do have is I actually have a pair of. I live in Maryland, and being a big fan of the Maryland flag, as all good Marylanders should be, I have a pair of Maryland tights that I special ordered off of a dude on Etsy. And I'm thinking about getting him to make me a top so I can be a stormtrooper, but with a Maryland flag under the armor rather than
Oh,
rather
That is
than just a
badass.
black. So just for like if you're going out eating crabs in stormtrooper armor, like you do, I
Might
thought it
get
would
offered
be.
some free crab.
I might. That's you never know.
That would be really cool.
That
Is
might
it
be.
a face mask on that too, or just the bodysuit?
It's just a bodysuit. I guess there's like a head cover that leaves your face blank. I think you're technically supposed to wear underneath it, but I
That's
don't know that
cool.
anybody would notice it. So
Could be the Maryland man if you had like a Maryland
yeah,
flag like unitard on the top too.
yeah. Oh, I wonder
Face
what's that
mask.
morph suit. I wonder if morph suit does a Maryland flag. That'd be funny. Just go as a Maryland flag. But yeah, and then yeah, so that's the goal. But that's a big project. I've got some of the stuff to get started. I've had to buy some tools, specific tools for that. So I need a lot of glue. There's a lot of glue involved in that.
Never have enough glue.
Really gnarly glue too, the kind that'll make your head spin. So that'll be fun too.
Yeah, make sure you do that in an enclosed tiny room.
Nice enclosed space. Listening to a lot of Pink Floyd at the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Preferably in the dark.
In the dark, yeah, with black lights. Yeah, it'd just be like high school again.
Yeah. Some bean bags.
Yeah, yeah. But if I buy a hacky sack, you got to shoot me. There's limits. No sandals, no hacky sacks. I can't do that.
Only go back so much.
Yeah, no, I can't. I didn't do hacky sacks back in the day either, so I
No.
can't. That's a line I will not cross. That's too close to being a hippie, and I just can't do that.
I might have kicked a few hacky sacks in my day.
I probably kicked one. I don't remember.
Just go up and kick it away from the group.
No, I wasn't a mean kid. Well,
Take that.
I was pretty fucking mean. I wasn't mean like that to the counterculture kids, but yeah.
Counterculture.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So that's
Cool.
basically that's a basic rundown of what this is going to be. So
All right. So let's challenge each other with our first book then, maybe?
yeah, let's do it. What do you got for me?
Well, I thought that I'd stick with sci-fi. You know, we'd like to kind of keep within the sci-fi fantasy. I don't know. What would you
call fiction?
Yeah, speculative fiction realm. And for this first one, I wanted to stick to sci-fi. Nothing too heavy, because I felt, you know, there's some pretty heavy books that I would like to get you into, more character development and stuff like that. But this first one, I just wanted something fun. It's a military sci-fi, and it's called Old Man's War. It's written by John Scalzi. Did a little bit of reading up on John Scalzi. He's a pretty interesting feller. I think he was like born back in like the late 60s, but I'll kind of skip forward into when he decided to write. He decided that he would either write science fiction or science fiction, sci-fi. Is that what?
Yeah.
Having a brain fart. Science fiction, or he would write murder mysteries or horror. And so he flipped a coin, and the coin landed like heads up sci-fi. So that's what he decided to do.
That's funny.
And he's, I guess, started off with writing some like short books, and like his first one he put online, and I think like in a blog or something format, and asked people like if they liked the book to donate $1. And he ended up getting like $4,000 from it or something like that. And, you know,
Nice.
It was enough inspiration or motivation to keep him going. So I think that book he had written about like an alien that comes down and abducts like a celebrity like out in LA, and like makes him teach him how to be like human or something like that so he can fit in. So it was kind of like a short story. It sounded pretty interesting, which I haven't read that, but I've read the whole entire Old Man's trilogy.
Okay.
Or it's actually not even a trilogy. I think it's like 6 or 7 books.
Wow. Okay.
But first one, it's kind of, you could read it as a standalone. You don't have to keep going on.
Okay.
And I'd say it's military sci-fi for sure. It's pretty fun. I kind of would say like a really brief summary would be that it's about a world where interstellar space has already happened, like space travel, and there's alien species, but the normal person doesn't really know much about that whole world unless you're like in the military. And so when you get to be a certain age, it's like when you're 75, you get to decide, do I want to live the rest of my life out on Earth, or do I want to go into the military? And from there, different things happen. They may give you enhanced body features, certain stuff like that, so that you can go up into space and fight aliens and such.
Sounds cool.
It's pretty fun. It's not a very long read, but the audiobook's really good. The reader, can't think of the guy that does the voice for it or the reading for it, but he's pretty good. Like he really makes you feel like you're reading it from the old man's perspective.
Oh, cool.
Like the main character. And he almost won a Nebula for it. He was like I think second place that year when it came out, and then every consecutive book in the series like was a runner up for the Nebula Award too, or the Hugo Award.
Right.
And then in 2013 he actually won it for a book called Red Shirts.
Okay.
And it was like written about the red shirts in Star Trek that always die or whatever.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And it's supposed to like feature them and make them like the prominent characters, and it's
that's cool.
supposed to be really funny. Like I was looking at some reviews and people were just ranting and raving, like just laugh out loud, like milk squirting out your nose type of funny.
That's cool. I'm gonna track that down. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I was like, this just seems like a really good first book. It's pretty easy read. I think you'll be able to breeze through it, and I think our readers will really enjoy it too. So
cool. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Cool. I will start it. Well, I've got to finish I just started the second book of the original Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy.
Yep.
I just started that second book. So as soon as I'm done with that, I'll get on it. But I should finish that pretty soon. So
what'd you think of the first one?
I liked it. I did. I enjoyed the first one. I did like you did. I listened to the 20th anniversary with the sound effects and the background noises and stuff like that. I don't know the guy that read it. I can't think of his name, but he does a great job with voices, character actions, and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's a cheesy book. I have a feeling it's geared towards middle schoolers.
It's a fun ride though.
But it's a fun ride. It's cool. It's expanded universe, so it doesn't count. Or legends, I guess they call it now. So it's non-canon or canonical, whatever that fucking word is. It's non-canon anymore.
Canonological.
Yeah, canonological. So it doesn't count for Star Wars, but it's got some interesting stuff in it. It's got some interesting things. I do like.
It makes you wish that's what it makes you wish that's what the sequel trilogy would have been.
I really like Thrawn. I like I believe I'd have to check. I think it's 2 books that Zahn wrote that are actually Thrawn that are canon. And they lead into what could have been the trilogy we were just subjected to. That could have been that, and Thrawn's a badass in that. And we know Thrawn's canon because he's been in Rebels, right, and something else, and several comics and graphic novels.
Is he the same Thrawn in that book that he is? And
no, he's Thrawn. He's badass. Yeah, he's very similar to the ones that we're going through now. He's very, very smart, very almost prescient. Which I think if I had a complaint, it would be that Thrawn is never surprised about anything. He seems very, which I guess could almost come down to Deus ex machina. Like you can't fool him. Like
he's
I already knew you were going to do that. So
yeah.
But again, it's goofy little Star Wars books. We're not talking, nobody's writing these books to expand the universe officially or anything. Maybe then, but even then, it's just fan fiction, and it's fun. I enjoy it. So
the sound effects really make it fun too.
It really do. It's funny.
It's well done.
Yeah. I realized I was driving into work this morning listening to it, and I realized I'm at the point now I'm already taking it for granted that there's computer sound effects and battle sound effects and music scores and stuff like that. It's already I'm already so ingrained into that. The next book I do will probably not have that. And then you're gonna fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
It lends a whole nother element that really does make it more fun. It's really just hearing the Millennium Falcon scream or hearing a TIE fighter just
Or
that
just like the
sound.
strings pick up in the background, like when
Yeah,
it's talking
it
about the
just
Force or something. It's
it
gives you
adds a lot. It adds a
chills on the
lot
bone.
that you don't expect. It adds a whole lot to it. So, but I guess I'll go back to normal audiobooks. I guess that'll be just fine. As long as I don't have to listen to that dude read the Lord of the Rings anymore. That's
Yeah, go back to the original Heir to Empire reader back from like 91 and listen to that.
yeah,
And it sounds
that's
like a robot or someone like
yeah,
it's like worse than C3PO reading you the book.
yeah. That I actually it wouldn't be bad. I wonder if it'd be funny.
But,
I wonder if we
yeah.
could get Anthony Daniels to read children's books. How funny would it be to listen to him
That could
like
be.
read Goodnight Moon?
I was gonna attempt, but I don't think I could even do it justice.
I couldn't. I'm not even not if we're recording. No, maybe tomorrow in the bathroom when nobody's around, but not with any witnesses. I'm not going to attempt that.
Subject our listeners to it.
Yeah, no, no, not yet. No, maybe for a good amount of Patreon money, maybe.
Yeah, we'll charge for that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if we get any listeners first.
Might have to pay people to listen to that one.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then set up a Patreon and hope that people out there actually care enough to give us money. So there's a couple things to deal with first.
Get a couple of people listening.
Yeah.
Talking about you out there.
That's right. Yeah. That's it. Ask us nicely. Maybe we'll do something stupid if you ask us nicely. Mostly I just need a please and a thank you to do stupid shit. So. All right. So my book for you is one that, frankly, I was a little surprised to find out that you hadn't read. It's basic sci-fi standard issue stuff. I'm glad that I get to make you read this because you've waited long enough. It's what Blade Runner was based on. It's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Electric Sheep.
All right.
Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. I've loved Blade Runner since the first time I ran into it completely by accident on a little 13-inch black and white TV in my parents' house when I was a kid, back when you watched movies on network television. I was flipping channels on a dial. I'm dating myself. There was a dial.
I was going to say it was a dial to get up from your seat.
Yeah. And it was at the foot of my bed, and I'd sit at the foot of my bed and I'd watch. And I ran into this movie on black and white TV in the middle of the night. And it was the Roy Batty scene. It was the I've seen things scene. And that's all I saw of it. That was it. I saw the final scene of this movie and I was absolutely gobsmacked. Like I had no idea what it was. I'd never heard of it. I had no context. It was late enough that it wasn't listed in a TV guide, because back in the day you could get TV guide in the paper.
Oh yeah.
And you had to circle all the shit you wanted to watch and then get home from school or whatever and remind yourself that Tuesday at 8:00 on channel 4 was this or that or whatever else. And then
that was
fight
before
over
the TV Guide channel.
That was a hell of a thing when that came out. Yeah. So I had no content. I had no idea what the hell I had just watched. I knew that it was incredible and I knew that I absolutely loved it. And I knew that I had to watch the rest of it. And it was months, maybe a year later, I ran into that movie a little bit before that scene. It was the Harrison Ford and Rutger Hauer's fight coming on. And I think it might've been right around Pris's death scene. So just the tail end of that movie. And I knew instantly it was the same movie and I watched it. So I had this maybe 30, 35 minutes of this movie under my belt now and still no idea what it was. Still no way to track it down, whatever. And eventually I figured it out and I tracked it down. But ever since I'd seen that first scene, Blade Runner had been one of my favorite movies.
That's so cool that you were able to pick out just from seeing a little clip, at the end. This is the same movie I had seen,
Well, the whole movie is, if you watch any one frame of that movie, it's so that movie and such a precursor to cyberpunk and all of that. That really is like, between that and Akira, that was really what got us
Akira's
the
great,
visual of what cyberpunk looks like and what that whole aesthetic is. William Gibson, which we're going to get into soon enough, I'm sure, made cyberpunk a thing and did the narration of it. But yeah, Blade Runner, I mean, that's every cyberpunk anything is basically just a scene from Blade Runner, except for Blade Runner 2049 was nice because, well, I could go on for days about the Blade Runner movies. They actually built on that aesthetic and everything else, but it was, yeah, you could tell instantly that Blade Runner is Blade Runner. You knew, like, you could just tell. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it was written by Philip K. Dick, Kindred Dick, and he was born in 1928, actually.
Dang.
Which I didn't realize that he was that old. I mean, I knew he's old because he's been long dead. He died in 82. Actually, that's the year that the original Blade Runner came out, was 82.
Really?
Yeah. His Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was written in 68 and turned into Blade Runner. He apparently, and I just learned this about him too, he was born 6 weeks premature with a twin sister named Jane. She passed away 6 weeks later, which is weird because that would have been about her due date.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
I don't know what that means, but that's weird, right? So, but
Yeah.
that really fucked him up for the rest of his life. And you'll read, if you get into Dick and if you start reading a lot of his stuff, there's if you get into Philip K. Dick and you start reading a lot of his stuff, that's a different show. That's a totally different show.
Yeah, that'll be the late night episode.
Yeah, and we're not doing that as cousins.
We don't live in West Virginia.
No, God, no. But there's a reoccurring theme of like a phantom twin theme sort of underlaying a lot of his stuff. So, but he had a really interesting life. He was, his mom and dad separated while he was fairly young, and she sort of traveled him around a lot. He was a tinfoil hat wearing dude, like almost legitimately. He would lock himself up in a house and people would not see him for a long time. He had a safe with a bunch of money and work in it. At one point, somebody broke into his house and broke into it. The FBI actually investigated whether or not he may have done it himself for some reason. He
Really?
was,
Conspiracy theory.
very conspiracy theory. He considered himself an acosmic pantheist, which is a word that I've never read until I read his thing here. He
Explain what that means.
The universe is only an extension of God. And that, let's see, he believed existence is based on internal human perception, which does not necessarily correspond to external reality. So basically what you think is real and what you experience may not be. So you can see that he had some trouble later in life. He wrote a lot of stuff though. He wrote a lot of stuff, and a lot of his shit became movies. Blade Runner obviously did. Total Recall was based on We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. There's Confessions d'un Barjo. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Probably not. It's French. Screamers was based on one of his. Minority Report, Imposter, Paycheck was based. A Scanner Darkly came out in 2006. There was one called Radio Free Abelmuth was him. The Adjustment Bureau, they just redid Total Recall again. Shit tons of his stuff has been turned into movies and TV shows. All very loosely. Do you think
that he would have been okay with that?
I don't know.
Imagine living your whole life writing all of these books, and then you die, and then they make all of the movies. Based
they make
on
all the movies, but they loosely base. Like when you read Blade Runner, it's not a novelization of the movie. You can see common themes in it, and it's a different experience. It's a totally different experience. Now, one of the main themes in the book is, what is the definition of humanity? What is it to be a human? And that's in the movie, that's still there. And in 2049, that's still sort of experimenting with that whole, what define human. Tell me what makes a human. When does an android stop being an android and start being a human? What's that line? But there's a lot of other stuff in it. There's a lot of really interesting forced empathy, keeping up with the Joneses. A lot of it's got some really neat stuff. I want to hear what your thoughts are on that when you're done with that. It's not a very long read. It's only about a 9.5 hour read. I did the audio. I've read it several times. I did the audiobook maybe a year ago, and don't know the guy's name. I should have wrote down the guy's name that did the audiobook. It's an interesting way to read it because it's very noir. It really, which the movie is noir. I mean, the movie's classic noir. Like if you're going to define noir, that's fucking it right there, right? Grizzled old detective with a drinking problem who's mildly, well, not mildly abusive to women. You know, and then you have your dark-haired lady. I mean, it is absolutely a noir movie, but the narration is very noir as well. It's very sort of undertoned and underplayed. I think it lends really nicely to it, but I could see how some would think it was a bad read or boring, but I think it really does lend to the character and everything else. So
That
the
sounds
androids
awesome.
are still in it. The Deckard's still basically a replicant hunter, and then he has some thoughts on that. It's a good, and then once you do that, then you don't have an excuse not to watch Blade Runner again. And since you've done that, you may as well do 2049.
That's a
So
great. I've only seen it twice. I saw it once in theater and then once when it came out.
what's that, 2049?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, we did.
It's
I live not too far from a movie theater that does, well, not now, right? Because if anybody's listening to this in the future, we're dealing with the middle of the pandemic right now. We don't have movies. That's not a thing.
unless you pay $30 for on demand.
Yeah, yo ho ho, it's a pirate's life for me. um, so yeah, so this theater last summer actually played the original Blade Runner. They played Akira, and then they played 2049. So my middle son Blaze and I went to go see. We got to go see the original Blade Runner in the theater, which was my first time seeing it in the theater and his first time ever seeing it. And
Oh
then
wow.
2 days later, we got to see 2049 in the theaters, which I had not watched it yet because I missed it when it originally came out, and I just didn't want to watch it at home on TV. And it actually came back out in theaters. It was rad. It was fucking cool. So that was
That's
really
awesome.
gnarly. And then like 2 days later, we got to see Akira. It was part of, I can't remember what it was. It was some little film festival, speculative or something like that. But that was a good week. That was a really good week.
Was Akira released back then? Is it that old?
Akira is,
Is
I
the
want to
original?
say, the original is, I gotta say, 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just doesn't even seem like it when you watch it. It doesn't seem dated at all or anything, you
No,
know.
it's held up really well. It's held up. Akira's held up really, really well, and it's a really good story. I enjoy Akira a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, the
That's a good
animation in it too is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, the animation is really good. The story's really good. Everything about that movie is really good. It was actually enough that I was recently shopping for a new bike. I wanted to get a new bicycle, and I had the thought of buying a red one just so I could put the same stickers on it. That seemed a little try hard, so I didn't. But it was close there for a minute. I thought I could hunt down all these stickers and
Seriously tempted.
reproduce Kaneda's bike as a bicycle, as a gravel grinder. I didn't do it, but I almost
Wait till you get the electric version.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's so. What did I see recently? Somebody came out with a very high-tech looking bike, and it was described as the Akira bike, but it didn't look very Akira bike to me. But it
There's
did.
some crazy fast electric bikes out there that
Yeah.
I've seen some going like 60 miles an hour.
Holy shit. That's nuts.
Like on mountain roads and stuff like that.
No, not me, dude. No, I'm too
Give me a
afraid
full
of falling
body
down
suit.
anymore. Yeah, no, I'm too afraid of falling down anymore. I can't do it.
That's what I've been doing is boosting to work. I got an electric skateboard, so
Nice.
my work is maybe 3 or 4 miles back through some back roads. You know, you take a couple pathways and
Right.
back paths. There's a one that leads through a golf course that you have to like kind of go through people shooting balls at you and stuff like that. But
Like actually at you, or just while you're
I mean, they
doing
might.
That's funny.
I'm rocking my music, so I can't hear people if they're yelling at me, but
Right.
they might be yelling at me. I'm not sure.
Huh. That's funny. You go riding through there and grab everybody's balls off the course really fast.
I would love. You can get the off-road like wheels for it that I've seen people convert.
Yeah,
And that thing, like I've seen them go like on sand dunes and stuff like that.
that's crazy.
looks like a lot of fun, but mine goes, I'd say like 22 miles an hour
That's
and
plenty
it
fast. That's
goes
cool.
about 7 miles or something like that on a charge. So
Nice.
it's,
That's enough to get to and from work.
oh yeah. I think it's maybe a 15-minute ride or something like that.
Oh, that's rad. That sounds fun.
It's great. And it wakes you up. I love drinking coffee, but nothing wakes you up like that. Like I get to work, my
Yeah.
boss asked me, "How you doing this morning?" I was like, "I'm awesome." I was
Yeah.
like, "That's a hell of an answer."
Yeah. That was back in the day. Getting to work, I used to take public transportation. I take the bus, but I lived at the top of a really long hill. And I figured out one morning that if I left, like, I think like 1 minute earlier than just catching the bus, I could actually bomb the hill on my skateboard and meet the bus at the bottom of the hill and
Oh
start
man,
my day with just a 25-mile-an-hour hill bomb.
adrenaline
And it
rush.
was
Yeah.
it was the best. Like you say, it was the best way to, it was like, cool. Like the day can be shit now, but I've already bombed a hill. So I did that not every day, but a few times a week. It was a great way to start a day.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I remember you bringing the longboard back to my parents' house. I don't know,
Yeah.
20 years ago too, and bombing
Yeah.
our hill right outside of our house. I
That was a fun hill. Yep.
remember being like, "Whoa,
That's a fun hill.
he's hitting that hill on a skateboard.
Yeah.
That is intense."
Yeah. I'd like to start every now and then. I think about that too. I think about getting back into, because I can't street skate anymore because I'm fat in the mold and I can't do it. And I got left behind when everybody started kick flipping. That was the me behind. It all got very technical after that. And it never appealed to me. But I started bowl skating and verse skating after that, which is a tremendous amount of fun, but I can't fall in a bowl again. I blew my shoulder out a couple of years ago and that was bad. But bombing a hill is a lot of fun. And I've done 55 miles an hour on a skateboard. That's my personal
Dang.
record. And that wasn't just the first day out doing it. That was several months of training and getting used to it and learning how to fall. Because it's funny because I'm sure you've done this on yours. You'll know something in the back of your head that tells you, I can't run as fast as I'm moving right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very animalistic, like, okay, I'm in. If I have to bail, I'm going to eat shit. I cannot run out of this. And once
I
you
never
pass
learned
that,
how to fall.
you just fall and then you get up and you just hope that you don't turn into a meat crayon is basically all there is to it.
I was going to say, you're going to have to teach me the technique because it sounds like you know something that I don't, because when I fell, I tried running and right away the impact on my knee, I was on crutches maybe for 2 months or something like that. I thought it would be a smart idea to try to weave in and out of some cones going 20 miles an hour.
Well, it is. You just have to execute it properly. It is a good idea.
It did seem, yeah, I think you're right.
It is a good idea. You're not wrong. You just have to work on your technique. Knee pads, you just get a good pair of knee pads that don't slip down your knees and just get to your knees and you just slide. And that's
I've been thinking about that the past week or two because I've been boost boarding, electric boarding for the past, I don't know, 3 weeks now probably.
Okay.
And it's been in my mind for like 2 weeks. Not the first week, I was too naive again, but getting back into it. But I've been thinking if I fall, I need to just do like a slide on my knees. And if I rough up my knees, it's not bad compared to not being able to walk or go down or upstairs for a couple of months. That was
you can't. You'll know it. Like I say, you'll feel that. And you'll know instinctively the little lizard part of your brain will say, we can't run out of this. Do not fall down. And what's cool is once you become comfortable with that, until you hit the next 5 miles an hour, going slower than that isn't any fun. Like for me, my first big hurdle was about 20 or 25 miles an hour. And then once I broke that, it wasn't fun unless I was going 25 miles an hour. And then it was hard to get to 30 miles an hour. And then once I got to 30, it wasn't fun unless I was going 30 miles an hour. And it just very slowly worked itself up.
Have you ever done hard drugs?
Yeah, well, not for a while.
Sounds like it. Yeah, you'd be a fun person to be around.
I probably
need more. Give me more.
Give me more. Give me more. My personal motto I got from Billy Idol was too much is never enough. So, but I'm paying for it now. I bent down at work the other day and my knees crackled and somebody in the next room literally went, "What was that?" So, and it was my knees. I was bending down to do something and my knees just sounded like Rice Krispies, but loud enough that
Oh
the
my
dude
God.
in the next room heard. So it turns out that
That's
too much
hurting me.
actually can be enough. It's,
Hitting that limit.
yeah, hitting the limit. So, but yeah, good pair of
Mm.
knee pads, dude. Get a good pair of like knee pads. Like look for the kind that you don't have to put on like a sock that you can put on right over your pants.
Yeah.
Or shorts or whatever. And then that way you don't have to like go into work with scabby ass knees and holes in your shorts or holes in your knees.
Yeah.
So,
Or just not make it to work.
or
Call.
not make it. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's better to make it, and you should wear
The
a
golf
helmet.
course. Help me.
That's right. I've fallen and I can't get up. And you should wear a helmet, but nobody ever does. So whatever.
I do wear a
Yeah.
helmet actually. Just, I don't know. I just felt it's easy enough to do, and
No, it's good. No, you should. I
cool
wear a
looking
helmet,
helmet.
when I ride a bike. I wear a helmet, even if I'm
Yeah.
going to the grocery store to get some ice cream or something on my bike. I'll wear a helmet. That
It's just
it's
easy
it's
and
really cheap insurance.
yeah, exactly.
That's I worked with a guy that I don't know if he lost his kid completely, but his kid got really mangled up because he got hit by a car, not hard, and he hit his head on the pavement, and that was basically the end of that kid altogether,
That's all it
just because he
takes.
wasn't wearing a helmet. And it was so
Yeah.
it's cheap insurance.
Sorry,
Plus, it's
bringing
sticker real
everybody
estate.
down.
I'm all about stickers, so helmets are just more sticker real estate. So
Show off your flair.
that's it. That's all. I've got a sticker box. It's an old shoe box. I'm about to work into my second box. That's crazy. I'm still a sticker junkie. I've got miles of stickers on my car too.
Think of all the money those stickers could be worth if they were still in their packaging. And
I actually have a couple of old school stickers from the late 80s, early 90s, skateboard stickers from the late 80s, early 90s. They're
unopened.
probably not worth anything, but I've got a couple that at this point I can't stick them to anything. Like I can't take the back off. I have a big independent truck company sticker. It's as big as a bucket lid, and it's shiny foil sticker. I think new back in the day it was $15. So, but I don't have the heart to stick it on anything.
I feel like you could at least get probably $15 for it now.
Well, yeah, but then I won't have it. And then somebody will peel the back off it and stick it to something and ruin it. So, yeah.
Dream would be over.
The dream would be over. It would be. I have a couple of Bad Boy Club stickers left over too. Do you remember Bad Boy Club?
No.
It was you remember the clothing brand No Fear?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You remember the kind of jock mentality kids that wore No Fear?
Mm-hmm.
They used to wear Bad Boy Club. That was the Bad Boy Club before No Fear was No Fear. Bad Boy Club around here anyway, where we were, was kind of all the jock skater kids, not like actual skaters, but the jock skaters. And we ended up with a stack of Bad Boy Club stickers. I'll say ended up with. We ended up with a stack. So our game was to stick Bad Boy Club stickers on other people's stuff while they weren't looking. And this went on for a long time, like a couple of years. And we started running out of stickers, so you had to pick in your stuff. And my buddy Mike, you may have met Mike Becker. You may have met him back in the day.
Maybe.
But he got me really good. We were moving out of an apartment, and I went back in to get like the last thing, and the power was out. And I was like, well, that's fucking weird. So I went back to the electric panel, and inside the electric panel was a Bad Boy Club sticker. So he got me. And this was
starting to dry out and cause a fire.
Well, whatever, but he got me, and I was like, okay, that's good. You got me. And I couldn't get him back in a reasonable amount of time. And no lie, 15 or 20 years later, Mike and I we hadn't seen each other probably in about 10 years at this point, but about 20 years after he got me there, that would have been like 94. That would have happened in like 1994, possibly 95, but we'll say 1994. And then a couple of years later, Mike and I stopped hanging out. We sort of lost touch with each other. And then maybe about 6 years ago, I called him out of the blue, because he's a carpenter also. I called him out of the blue to get him to come work with me on a couple
Oh.
of houses. And he did. And the first thing I did when he showed up on the job was put a fucking Bad Boy Club sticker on his car.
Still had it.
20 fucking years later. And it was there for 3 or 4 days before he noticed it. And he finally found it. And he called me he called me that night after work. And he was like, "Did you put this fucking sticker on my car?"
Who
I
else?
was like, "Yes, I did. You're goddamn right I did. I've been holding on to that for years, motherfucker." And he goes, "Did you hire me just so you could put that sticker on my car?" And I was like, "No, but as soon as we started talking, I knew that I was going to do that to you. That's not why you got hired, but it was, yeah, no, that's a true story. I did. I waited 20, we'll do the math, 94 to call it 2015, whatever it is, 20 years to get him back, but I got him back. I got him back. And I don't think he has any more of those stickers. I have 1 or 2 left. So if he ever does get me, I can come back. I'm going to put one on his fucking coffin at this point. So, but it was good. It was funny. It was a good game. So
That's too good.
Yeah. So anyways, books, right?
How you get there.
Yeah. That's funny.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, we talked really quick. Let's do the Dune thing because I want to talk about the Dune trailer a little. I know we talked about it technically before we started recording, but I think as it's really fresh right now and that's what's going on while we're recording this, we should at least say a little something. I think it looks fucking epic and I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, coming from someone that regretfully has still not read the book or the books, it's been on my list. Actually, I was telling you how I started to kind of read them back in, it must have been middle school or high school, probably 8th grade, I think. And there's the first chapter just had so many vocabulary words that were new, that were not new like English words, but like new alien vocabulary words from what I remember. Like, and it just, I couldn't get into it at the time. And it's always been in the back of my mind of like a book that I didn't read, one of those books that you regret not actually getting into, because I know how good it's supposed to be. I know that everybody loves it. Both of my parents have read it, and it's just something that's always been there. So I do want to read it, but having not read it, the movie looks really badass. I'd say the epic scale and the cinematography looks really nice, Blade Runner-esque, just like what we were talking about. You can tell like the scenes, he's really done a lot of like art, probably like preliminary art to get the right models down for like the spaceships and stuff like that. And the worm looks pretty awesome.
The worm looks pretty dope. Yeah, he's apparently all reports say he's an original like hardcore Dune fan. Which did you see the 84 version, the not any longer David Lynch version? David Lynch actually hated it so bad he took his name off it.
Same thing with that. I probably only have seen parts of it on my TV. Yeah, I've never actually seen the whole thing.
Because David Lynch had never even read it. He was asked to direct it and make it, and he'd never read it. And I don't know that he even read it while he was making it. So, and I have nothing against David Lynch is a brilliant filmmaker. He's just really the wrong dude for the job. I think that was a bad pair up. Now I do like that movie. I think the original 84 version is good.
And I've heard that this one looks pretty like it keeps all like the similar scenes and stuff like that.
It has, it seems to have sort of the same. Well, I mean, most of the movie takes place in a desert, so I mean, like, they're both placed in the desert. It's kind of hard to get away from it. You can't just be like, oh, here's a forest on Arrakis that we didn't discover before. So, but it has sort of a similar feel to it. There may be some respect paid or some homage paid to that, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure. I know that he did. I know the new one, the Harkonnens, the main protagonists, look different, are still awful, horrible people, but he went a different direction than Lynch had gone. So,
that's the guy that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is it?
I think is that who, the bald dude that is in the preview?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in Guardians.
Yeah. See, I'm not you haven't seen Doom, but I don't do comic book movies. I don't like comic book movies. I think I did see the original Guardians of the Galaxy, and I've seen one Transformers movie, but it's too frenetic, and I was never into comic books. I never did comic books. I never did superhero
Shame.
comic books. I used to do like the little ones, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, when it was underground before it got really big. I was there before it was hip. I mean, all my friends were reading it, so they'd loan it to me and shit. And that's how I got into it, through them. Ivan Ingram, I think, hit me to that. And G.I. Joe, I used to read G.I. Joe. Because obviously I'm so pro-military.
Well, I did suggest some military sci-fi for you. So.
Oh, yeah, shit. There's that, man.
Hopefully you like it.
Yeah. No, I'm not I'm anti-real military. I don't like fictional military is fun. Well, it's all
I like
though,
fake
right? I mean,
guns.
like that's Dune is all military, really, when it comes down to it. That's
Looks
all
like
just
it,
about
yeah.
different houses going after each other, and it's not like
And
Ender's Game didn't have anything to do with military at all, right?
No, there wasn't a military in there, I don't think.
Yeah.
People have actually, I meant to mention that about my book. People have compared it to Heinlein's Starship Troopers. They've
Really
said that if you like Starship Troopers, you're gonna like Old Man's War. So
interesting. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I did like it.
it's a good
I should
good
watch that.
flick. Have you read the book?
No.
The book is pretty awesome. It's different than the movie.
Okay.
It gets like a lot into like their gear and their suits and stuff like that, but it's
Huh.
a fun read too. It's Robert Heinlein, I think is his name, the author.
Okay.
But yeah, if you've read or seen the movie is
Right.
pretty awesome too, actually.
Yeah.
For being what it was back in the day,
Yeah.
And going back and watching it now, it's a little dated as far as special effects, but it's fun.
Right. Yeah, I remember it being. Well, it's a lot more than just a splatter film, right? I mean, it's really. I mean, it's on the surface, it's a bunch of space jocks go and shoot up a bunch of bugs, but it's about a whole lot more than that, right? Like, I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah,
a lot of subtext in there.
there's some pretty good, not too big character development. I'd say the book maybe has a little bit more development, like
Right.
character wise, but
Well, sure. I mean, you can get away with that in a book a lot
yeah.
easier. Well, that's the other thing about the Dune. This is only the first half of the movie, or the first half of the book. Is this movie is only the first half of the book? It's coming out in 2 parts.
I heard that. That makes me happy. So
yeah,
they're not rushing it.
Yeah, no, I think the biggest hope is that we get 2 3-hour movies, which would be really good if we could do that. Then we could stay fairly true to the book. I think the biggest disappointment is that it isn't a much longer miniseries. The Sci-Fi Channel did a miniseries years ago that was actually pretty good. The quality was not great. There was a lot of really piss poor green screens. There's a lot of really bad CGI. But the acting was solid and the storytelling was solid. I mean, it was the screenwriting was really good.
Was it called Dune?
Yeah. Yeah. They did the second book as well, The Children of Dune. They did that as a miniseries as well. I didn't care for it, but I don't care for the follow-up books very much. They get away from what I enjoy reading. It's a lot more philosophical than speculative.
Yeah.
I've got my own philosophies. I don't need to read some weirdo tinfoil hat guy's philosophies. I didn't enjoy him as much, but the sci-fi version miniseries was pretty good. And it was nice. They were able to stick closer to the book because they had a much longer, I think it was like 6 episodes or something. That's 6 hours. You can tell a story like Dune. There's a lot in Dune. It's very dense. And there's a lot of internal dialogue that's hard to put on screen.
Yeah.
But the way Lynch did it is they would show Paul and then have him whisper as sort of a voiceover, which is distracting at best. But there's not a lot you can do with that. I'd be interested to see. Well, I can't wait to see what they do with this new movie, how they take care of that.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ender's Game did too. Like the book was so in Ender's head.
Yeah.
And then the movie was like, how are you going to translate all of his thoughts and feelings into film? And it was okay, but it just didn't do it justice.
Right.
It's just
I
so
don't think
hard
I saw
to
the movie. I must not have watched the movie. I'm thinking about it. I don't think I ever saw the movie.
It's worth watching. I mean, it's fun. Don't read the book first.
Right. Yeah.
It's always the cardinal sin. Read it after if you're planning on reading it, because it's just then you just sit there the whole time.
Yeah. I actually just reread Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow, which I got to say, like, I really liked Ender's Shadow and Ender's Game as 2 books. I thought that was a really cool way to do something, to tell the same story from a totally different perspective. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that he did that.
I almost like the Shadow quadrilogy more than the Enders. Because did you read the rest of them?
No, I didn't. I just did Ender's Shadow, and then I stopped.
So then it goes on to follow Bean back on Earth in the time, where Ender's flying on the spaceship with Valentine.
Yeah.
It goes back and shows what happens with Bean and Hot Soup and all the other battle kids. They go back to Earth, and it shows the war that happens, and all of their countries are fighting over all of their kids because they want them to be their, the commander of their army. And and it goes into Bean's whole story until he becomes an adult. Like there's 4 books, I think, or 3 after. There's Ender's Shadow, and then there's 3 more after that.
Okay, interesting.
They're worth checking out.
Yeah, I might.
It's been a while since I've read them, but I remember enjoying it just as much as Ender's story, if not more.
Right.
It's pretty great.
That's cool. Yeah, I think I thought it was really cool that they did the 2 different perspectives in the same story. I thought that was cool. And then I remember thinking, man, I wish more books did that. And then I thought, no, that would be terrible. Then that's just what everybody would do, and it wouldn't be cool or special. It would just be lame. So it would just be, oh God, these people did it too.
Money grab.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I'm kind of glad in hindsight that nobody else that I'm aware of has done that. But yeah, I don't know. I did like Bean. I did like him as a character. It would be fun to go back and do that. I don't know that I have the interest to go back and read 3 more books on Bean. Maybe I'll just go to the Cliff Notes.
It's good.
I could see it. I could see doing it. I could see doing it. I've got other things first.
As good as Ender is, Bean was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, just seeing it from his perspective, he comes in and Ender's already like the head honcho of the school and everything, and
yeah,
he's more of a humble character. I feel like.
Yeah.
Even though Ender's kind of humble too, it's in a way.
Yeah. No, they're humble. Bean comes in with a disadvantage. Bean comes in as the small one. Mm-hmm. Actually, thinking about it, you did the Red Rising trilogy recently, right? Have you done that?
I'm in the middle of the second one still.
Okay, so the first one, I did the first 3. It goes on.
Yeah. I think he's still writing it, right?
I don't know. It was supposed to be a trilogy. It was,
dragged out.
What was his? Oh God, I just did it not too long ago, and I can't think of it. There was a character that reminded me of Bean. God, he was the leader of the Howlers. Why can't I think of his name?
From the first book, or
in the first book.
See, the son of.
Oh. Yeah, he was the son of the House of Mercury.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
It starts with an S, but he reminded me of Bean because he was small and he was stunted. He may not have even belonged where he was. Looking at everybody else was so much more advanced and had so many more advantages over him. And he was the absolute underdog, but at the same time, he was absolutely underdog, but he managed to pull himself up and out. And I thought
being more creative.
Yeah, being more creative and worth it, and being good, and being, in for a reason, not in by accident, not in by an oversight or anything, in because somebody else saw the potential there. But I thought those 2 characters were really similar. He reminded me, God, I wish I could remember his name. That's embarrassing. Welcome to our sci-fi. We love sci-fi channel.
We'll edit that in. His name.
We'll fix it in post.
Right here.
Yeah. right there. But that character did remind me of Bean, and I remember thinking that while I was doing that book, I remember thinking, "No, it's not Bean, but it was a similarity in that."
Yeah,
Severo, that's his name. Severo.
That's
Severo.
That was gonna keep us up all night tonight.
It would have fucked with me all night. No, I'm glad I got it out now. I would have woken up at 3 a.m. screaming, "Severo!"
Alice is like, "What?
What the fuck? Go back to sleep." Yeah. Yeah, no, Severo reminded me of Bean because of that. Just sort of I don't know if stunted is the right word, but smaller than the other guys and other kids, and
Not as doesn't have the advantage going in like everyone
yeah,
else.
yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I need to get back into that. I've been also reading the Thrawn trilogy, so
Yeah,
that's taken over
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Actually, I'm early enough in the second book right now on the Thrawn. I'm going to shelve it and read your Old Man War, and then start Thrawn again because I don't think I'm but a couple chapters in. So I'm actually early enough in it to where I could bail on it, do this
Nice.
book, and then get back to Thrawn. But
So the plan will be we're both going to read half of our books.
yes,
We're going to reconvene here in another, I don't know, couple of weeks probably.
I guess, but it's going to be hard not to read a 9-hour book in 9 hours.
That's what I was just thinking. Maybe we get back together. I don't know, back together like in a week, and we can just do a shorter episode where it's really just an update on our thoughts for the book and where we think it's going to go, how we like it, and just predictions, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And it'll be a shorter episode, and then when we come out with the next episode, we can kind of really go over the whole book, get into it a lot more, and
get into it. Yeah. No, that'll be a lot more fun. So, and I think that's going to be, it raises an interesting thing though, is if you give me some 30-hour book and I give you some 15-minute book, that'll be an interesting way to do it. I don't know that we need to pay attention to book length and try to match things, but it will be interesting to see what happens when that.
And it's funny, we're talking about books with like time length versus pages.
Well,
but it's more of an audio club here.
Yeah.
We're doing things new. We're going to talk about also the voice acting and all of that type of stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That'll be part of it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out exactly how we arrange. Maybe if you have a shorter book you can give too. We don't want the listeners to be overwhelmed either. We want you to be able to kind of read along with us. So that's why we're doing it broken up, where we kind of pick our books. Next episode, we go over halfway through.
Yeah.
That way, when you're through half the book, you can kind of chime in with us.
Yeah.
Get our thoughts. And then we'd also like to include, like in the future, if, people who are listening would like to chime in, we're completely free to having, you guys on the episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have some friends that are super nerdy, just like us, that like talking sci-fi and movies and all of that type of stuff. So that's kind of part of what we're thinking too for the podcast. We have a lot of ideas and we like talking sci-fi. So we thought, it'd be fun to make this club. We were looking, but there's not too many sci-fi book clubs that are still doing it. There was a few older podcasts, but we just felt, it'd be fun to get together and just talk it. So
I'd like to.
Is that a fish tank in the background that you have?
What's that?
Is that a fish tank in your background?
Yeah. Mulder's fish. Yeah. Scully had to go and feed his fish that one time. That was, and the X on the
remember
X
that.
I want to make it more, it'd be fun to make it more interactive. Like that's the whole, like I tried to do a couple of books with people online, and it's very distracting because there is no back and forth. Like, I read a book, you read a book, but I want to be able to talk to the other people. I want to talk to listeners about their feelings and their thoughts on these things. Mm-hmm. So it's important for me, for other people to be involved. Like that's kind of, I think what we're hoping to do is actually start a community of people and maybe start suggesting books.
Like, that would be a really fun part too, if there's, or if there are books that we've both read and it's been, years since we've read them, we're totally into doing something like that too. So it doesn't always have to be, one that I've read, you haven't type of thing, and we were totally open to fantasy and any other genres too,
maybe even some actual nonfiction if it was something really cool, but not for a while.
I have a couple that I was thinking of that I know that you would be into. So I was thinking about that, not right off the bat. I want to kind of stick to sci-fi fantasy for now, but in the future, I think, it's too many good genres out there to limit ourselves. Yeah, I don't want to get pigeon. There's a lot. I love sci-fi. I love speculative fiction, fantasy. I love all that stuff. And it's a good, right now, especially with the way the world is, it's nice to be able to escape. Exactly.
but I don't want to do just that. That'll be like having a job. It should
Yeah,
be
the whole
fun.
goal is to have fun. And
Yeah.
well, we're
Yeah.
cousins, so we're living far away. You're in Maryland. I'm out in Colorado and Denver. So
Yeah. No, it's
we're family, and we like to
yeah.
get back together and kind of see
No,
how each other's
totally.
doing and stuff like that
Well, it's
too.
funny
So.
too, the way the world is right now. Like I've talked to you over these last 3 weeks more than I've talked to friends over the last 6 months. Because I got people that live within 40 minutes of me. I haven't seen them in 2 years or talked to them other than a couple of blurbs here on Twitter or Facebook.
Keep your distance.
That's right. Just stay the fuck away from me, dude.
Yeah.
But over the last 3 weeks, I've talked to you more than I've talked to people that I've been friends with for most of my life. It's really funny. So no, this is cool. It's good. And I wanted, if we can get people involved, if we can get listeners involved, if they want to be involved, if they want to drop book suggestions, if they want to read along with us, that would be a lot of fun.
Definitely.
That would be cool.
So I think we'll wrap it up here. That's kind of the whole plan for the podcast. We hope you guys are into it and want to kind of check back in and see how our books, Old Man's War and what it's
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
I have it written down, but somewhere.
It's not. It's Blade Runner the book. Like it'd be easy to find.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get on my audio and get that downloaded and start listening. So
yeah,
can't wait to start delving into it.
I'll see if I can't find this tonight or tomorrow morning and then get into it.
Cool.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, I'm going to stop recording now, and then we'll talk to everybody. What?
Don't stop yet. This was the HoloGrahams podcast.
Media Club
podcast. Name subject to change.
Yeah.
That might actually be the actual name.
It might be.
With name subject to change as
That'd
part
be fun.
of it. And so we hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.